Similarly, when I'm on the page and I double click on an existing game like this, it's going to take me to the selection and changed. And all I want to do there is find out which record was clicked on and then navigate to that particular record. So in here, you'll see I've got a selector using the primitives there. Do this, control did. So I've got the sender coming in saying which game or which record was clicked on. If it somehow got clicked and it didn't actually have a selected index is equal to -1, then it just returned. Otherwise, we're going to go to the navigation service and navigate to the selected item as a particular V game. And so what it's doing is basically pulling out the game ID and the host, and then it's going to navigate to where that is, and then it says our selected index is equal to -1. That way, if you click on it twice, it'll know not to try navigating there multiple times. Now, this is going to go out and it's going to go to a page called playgame.xaml that doesn't exist yet. So in our solution, we need to add that. So let's go back up here into our solution for the phone, add new item. And the page we're going to add down here is going to be called Play Game. So if we did this correctly, and supposing we wanted to go out and just run it and make sure everything is working, when we click on Run, this will then go out to our emulator, create the package, deploy it. It's now running. It's actually going to connect up to our data service. It should pull back our list of games. I should be able to create new games. So let's click up here. And what I can see is it's going to go out. It's going to navigate to the login screen. Find out if I'm logged in. And assuming I'm logged in, I can go out here. I can say create a new game. Call this game 1. Click on new game. Should navigate us to that play game, which we haven't done anything with yet. If I come back to it, then I should see a game listed here for my games. Log out. You sure we want to log out? Yes. Click on login. Using Google. And from here, we'll go ahead and log in. Our username and password. And I'll type in my password. Back over here, click on sign in. And I should be able to see my games. Click on allow. Click on a new game. Takes this out, adds the game. Come back. Add game 2. And whatever we're doing here should be creating games and then adding them to our list. So let's take a look and just make sure that we're doing the save changes. Begin save changes should be done. The other thing that we need to do is actually put together the rules as to how the actual game is played. And we're going to do this on the server, so all of our logic on how the server plays is going to be stored up on the RPA site inside of the RPA service. In RPA service, I can do a couple of things. One is I've got the existing entities that I can go out and get to, but I can also put methods and properties in here. So for instance, I've got a web get method called public string, or let's do a list of strings. And what I can do is I can say create a test method that's going to take as an input something and then return back a list of values. So I can say return to list of strings with the values hello world, and then say you said and if I did this correctly, what this allows me to do is if I'm viewing this in the browser by right-clicking here and saying View in Browser, is I can go out and I can call this method Say Hello to actually go out and do whatever. So I can say, here's this. I can say hello, and n is equal to test. And what it should do is it should return back the values of those elements, hello world and whatever. The same way I created this is I can also go out and I can create a set of values for how we want to play our rock, paper, scissors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a web method for playing the game inside of the rock, paper, Azure. And this is going to be a simple web get that's going to take this method called playgame. And what playgame does is it takes the game ID that we're currently on and the move that you're playing. So assuming that you're using my software, my game, and you're going to put in the game ID, it goes out, it's going to create a game results. Game results are what is going to be added to the list of records. We go out, we call their move, which is going to return back whatever that move that they typed in. It's going to be trimmed and then set to lower. The valid moves are rock, paper, and scissors. So I've got a list of valid records. And then I've got a game record that we're going to actually, this game create. So I'm going to pull from the data source of games, where game ID is equal to GID, select the first or default game, and then I'm going to add a round, which is going to be the current count of rounds. So I'm pulling from game results where this is equal to whatever, and then pull the count plus 1. That gives me how many games we're currently running. Next, I'm running a random bot, so I'm going to use the random generator to say, okay, well, here's how I'm going to create this. I set up my valid rules as pulling from that random of what the valid moves are. And then I go through my rules and create a game result that's going to say who's the winner. And so I say if the move is equal to rock and their move is paper, then the player wins. And I set the same thing for the player win, where the computer wins, and also where it's tied. Those are the rules of this game. We set up our results for that. So we've got a game result. We add that to the game results, save our changes, and then return back the list of results. So that's how we play the game. Coming over here and right-click on RPA game site, I can then deploy this, click on Publish. And the same way we published it before is I can publish it again. And if I do this, click on Publish, go out to my output, what I should see is that it's going to create it, push it up to the site. RPA on WP7, if you've been following along or playing out on the site, I can go out to this, and I can say, here's my list of games. You should see that I've got game 1 and game 2 already created in here, but I don't have any actual games that we've actually added any data records to. But I can also go out to say hello, and then it's in, it's equal to 5. I can see there's that. I can also go out and I can say play game. And I can say game ID is equal to test and move is equal to rock. Is it my move or move? If I do that correctly and I've got the right syntax for how that's actually going in, and let's take that, make that uppercase. Then it would go through and create the appropriate game and whatever else. So with that out there, what I want to do in our actual code for our game over here is when we're in the play game is actually go out and take the game ID that came in and then pass that in to actually do the playing of the game. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, again, this isn't a XAML class, so I'm going to get rid of the XAML that's in here. And I'm going to paste in some that I've already created. I'll explain it here in a second. So what this has got is, I'll put this side in, just make it smaller. So I've got some resources for how I want things to look. I've got a stack panel, which has got, where we're currently running. I've got a bunch of buttons inside of the stack panel, which is horizontal. One of the things I want to do is I want to have the same button, but use a different tag to define which button you're currently clicked on. So I've got rock, paper, and scissors as images. So I'm using a button with a content presenter that's using the image source. But I'm also adding a tag to the button saying, okay, well, which move is this? Rock, paper, and scissors. I could change and add other things in here, but I'm using that tag. And the reason why is because I want to use one method to do the play run. And then down below, I've got a stack panel and a list box that's got a list of what this current score is. And the list box has some background and just markup to make it look pretty. And then I'm binding out a data template to show me what current round I'm looking at, etc. Now let's go into the code for this. And the key is that when we navigate to this page, I should have received a game ID, and from that, then I can allow the user to go out and play this particular game. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some code for when you actually navigate to the screen. And what that's going to look like is like this. So I've got some globals. And I've got a game ID that's going to come in. I've got the name of the host, which is going to be a parameter. And I've got a service for the RPA service. In the navigate to method, we're going to go out and we're going to call a method to go out and pull out of the query string that came in who the current host is. That's going to be where our data service is running. I've got a game ID, which is also coming in. If you don't have that, then no game is selected. We should actually then just navigate back. But assuming we've got a game ID and a host, then I'm going to go out and I'm going to call this method load game history. Again, let's go out and stub that out. And then we're going to add our code for what we're doing to actually load the game history right here. Let's go out to the toolbox. Load game history is very similar to the main page's load game. We've got it. Here's my game where I'm pulling out the game results. The game ID is equal to the game ID that got passed in. Order by round, you might as well do this descending so you get the top, the most recent round to top. I'm just going to go out and select that game record. And that's using a data service collection, the same way we did before, to actually go out and do that asynchronous processing for us. Now, I'm going to set my binding for the list of items that are coming back to be that game log. I've got a load completed method that's going to run. That's going to go out and load completed. And then I'm going to call the game log load asynchronous, which is then going to load up that particular game.